So it's my pleasure now to introduce Steve and Debbie, and they're going to be taking turns telling us about birding apps and websites, updates, the ones they use, and some tech tips. They are both working in technology. Steve works for a local technology firm, and Debbie works for IBM, and so they're both very digitally literate. But they're also both passionate about birds, bird images, and sounds. So it's a great combo, and we're delighted to have them bring this presentation to us tonight. So, Steve, feel free to go ahead and do your screen share. I think you're first, yeah?
Sure, yeah. So last year when we did a similar presentation, we talked a bit about Merlin, but that was before they introduced Sound ID aspect, which they just released a couple weeks ago. So if you're already using Merlin, make sure you update it on your phone. If you're not familiar with Merlin, it's a free app from Cornell Lab. And it's a pretty well-rounded identification app. You can just provide context and description. It'll help you ID a bird. You can use photos to ID or submit sound. I just want to demo each step of this for you.
Steve, can I just jump in with something?
Absolutely.
So Steve's going to be showing everyone his apps on Android, and then I'm going to do iPhone. So we're just going to do a bit of a swing, and he's actually sharing his Android screen with you right now. Just it's a live demo.
When you first install the app, one of the things you want to do is up in the left corner is access the settings, and you want to go down to bird packs. And you just want to make sure you have the region you're located in already downloaded. That provides all the species data for the area you're in. If you're traveling and you're going to go to the West Coast or something, and you might find this useful, you want to make sure you download that pack ahead of time as well. Particularly if you're on Wi-Fi, because as you can see, these are pretty large. So we'll go with providing context to identify a bird. So let's just take an example of, we'll just say I saw this bird in the field. Just got a glimpse of it, didn't take a photo. So in the Merlin app, you're going to provide location where you saw this bird. So I'm sure most of you know where that was seen. And I saw this bird over the weekend. So now you describe the size of the bird. Your two smallest options are sparrow-sized or smaller, and the next one is between sparrow and robin. I would consider that maybe slightly larger than average sparrow, so I'm going to leave it on that setting. So main colors, I saw some black, I saw some brown, I saw some yellow. It only lets you select up to 3 different colors. And the behavior of this bird. So this bird was up on the grasslands. Certainly wasn't at a feeder or swimming. There's not really any trees or bushes up there. So I would say I saw this bird pretty much on the ground. And sure enough, it ID'd it successfully. That was a dickcissel. It will show you a bunch of other birds that are similar. But generally speaking, it's gotten much better over the last couple of years. It's going to be the first 1 or 2 birds that it provides an answer for. The other nice thing is, if you're not sure about any of these questions and you don't think your bird was in the results, you can go back to any one of these points and just change your answer to see what other options you might have. So if it's possible this bird is in a tree or a bush, even though it's, usually in grasslands, we can try it with that option. And you certainly get different results here, but Dixisel is still one of them. So if you want, you can tell the app that, yeah, this was my bird, and you can link it to Ibird and log your site through that. I'm not going to do that right now. So the other way you can ID birds is with photos. So we go to photo ID. You can choose a photo you've already taken, or you can take a photo with your camera. I don't think I've ever used that option. Not really sure how close you can get with your cell phone. So I'm going to say choose photo. So I took this this photo with my camera earlier, transferred it to my phone. What I do a lot of times in the field is if I'm not sure of a bird ID, I'll just take a picture of the back of my DSLR camera and use that. Doesn't have to be a perfect image, but one of the key points is you want to make sure you zoom this bird in so that it pretty much fills the box and you're not getting a lot of, background noise or surrounding colors and shapes. So I'm going to click next. Fill in the location information and the date and choose identify. And it got it right again. And this time, I guess it's so short, it doesn't even present any other options. So the new feature in Merlin is Sound ID. And just like with photos, there's two ways to use it with this. You can set it to start recording immediately and it'll start to ID in real time, or you can import a sound file you've already recorded. So what I'm going to try to do is play some sound. So I'm going to start this, and you can just let it run, for a good amount of time, and it'll start IDing birds as it hears them.
So it's listening to your recordings right now and offering IDs, right?
Yes, yeah. So I think there's just one more. Which surprisingly, it didn't get the easiest one. But I was playing back a recording of a recording, so the quality might not have been that great. The other thing I don't think you could see on my screen, even though I could see it on my phone, is when a bird repeats and it detects it again, it kind of highlights. So when the house finch was singing multiple times, it was highlighting it each time it detected it. And so it actually stores these so you can play it back if you'd like. The sound ID is not perfect yet. It's especially difficult when there's a lot of noise happening in the background. It can't always pick individuals out of a crowd. So once you are in, let's try it with importing a sound file. So when I was at Croton, I had recorded a sound with my cell phone. And I'm going to go down at the bottom here where it lets me import. And I've got a bunch of sounds stored here. If I can find. Might as well stick with the Dick Sissel. So it didn't play it for me. It just immediately imported and detected it, and it did it accurately. But let me see if I can. I don't know if you're able to hear that or not.
Yeah, it came through a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So, it was a cell phone recording. It's not the best quality, and it picked it right up.
We have a question. I wonder if you don't mind answering now,
Sure.
whether you can use live sounds.
Yes, that was what I was demonstrating. Even though I was playing a recording off of another device, that was to simulate or emulate being out in the field. And then the last feature on this app, they just have an Explore Bird section here. It gives you a nice, graphical list of things that are in, your local area. And if you sign in with your Cornell or Ibird account, you get a nice check mark next to the birds you've seen. So, and you can, look up information on each of these species. Are there any other questions on this particular app? I believe everything in this works the same on iPhone as it does on Android for the most part.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. So this is my iPhone, and just keeping with Sound ID, I want to talk about a little bit more about Sound ID. So there are two apps over here. We've got Song Sleuth, which I'll open up. And Song Sleuth pretty much works similar to everything else. You can see as soon as I open it up, it's starting to pick up some noise, and it's showing, just graphically what the sound of my dulcet tones are. And what you can do is when you're out in the field, you can, and I'm not going to simulate this, right? There's a record button at the bottom. You would press the record button, you'd pick out what you get the bird, the bird's making its call, you click the stop, and what it will do is it will then automatically highlight for you where it thinks the sound is, and you can make that bigger, longer, and when you're ready, there's a button right at the top that says Run ID. Okay, now I've got, let me just show you here. So I've got birds that so for example, birds that I've not worried about trying to identify previously. So this is something on May the 19th. I have no idea what it is. I'm not sure if you can all hear that. So if I'm saying I want to actually understand and hear what kind of that bird it is, and I'll say I want to run the ID on that, it comes up and says, is that a yellow-throat, a blue-headed vireo, or a house sparrow? And you get to choose which one you think it is. Okay. And it's interesting because it's not showing it on my screen. You know what? It's taking a little bit of time to catch up. Apologies. I'll watch the screen in front of me. So once I'd said run ID, it gave me the 3 most likely matches. Right, so that's Song Sleuth. All right, BirdNet. Hold on, come on. Sorry, this is really, I don't know why it's taking so long.
Sometimes it gets pokey to change the screen, so if you might have to stop share and then reshare. No, it's going. It's gone. Yeah.
Okay, so it's gone. All right. I already stopped this. All right, so this is BirdNet. BirdNet is available on both, I'll start it again. BirdNet is available again on both Android and on iPhone. These are all free apps, right? And again, just something to point out, as far as Merlin goes, it's free, and you'll be amazed at the bird packs that you can download. I have a lot of friends back in South Africa that are always asking me for help with RD, and I've now sent them all to Merlin. There's a pack for South Africa, there's Australia, so pretty much wherever you're traveling in most of the world, they have a pack for that. All right. So you'll see on BirdNet, it's doing pretty much the same thing. It knows where my GPS location is, and I get to, pick and choose, when I started, when I recorded, and I can pause it and do what I need to do as far as ID goes. All right. So one of the things that I commonly use when I'm out in the field, it's not, I'll personally, I like song Sleuth. I find it pretty good. I haven't played too much with Merlin yet. I use just the good old standard voice memos that comes with, let's say if I'm going to do some kind of recording, I'm going to just use it, whatever comes down straight with the iPhone, right? So if I click on recordings, and what I want to show you is just doing nothing special. What I've essentially done in this case is I've stood near a bird. I have recorded the sound of the bird. It will get there. All right, and in this case it was a whippoorwill, right? And I was pretty close to the bird. So what I'm going to do now for you is I'm going to just, once you've clicked on it, so there's like a really bad lag here. I'm just filling in the lag. This is like we're on like a 10-second once I've actually pressed the button. I'm not sure why. Okay, there we go, right? So once you've clicked on your file, I mean, I just updated the name of the file, which is pretty easy to do. And in this one, I knew that it was a whippoorwill. But what I want to do is I want to get this ready to upload onto my eBird checklist. All right. So I may have recorded it, and in the beginning, there's the rustle of my jacket because this might have been cold, it might have been whatever, and there's a rustle of me starting the recording up, and at the end when I'm taking the phone back in my hand, there's a rustle of that my fingers brushing against the phone, and I want to actually potentially just get rid of the beginning and the end of this. All right, so if I press the play button, you should be able to hear that. I wasn't standing right at the bird. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press these 3 dots, and it's going to give me some options of what I can do with it, right? I can copy, share, I can edit it. So let's say I want to edit this recording, and it gives me a different kind of screen, right? So this thing says that this thing is sitting at the moment on 13 seconds. I can move it around by just fiddling with the screen. And there's a button on the top right, just under SMRA. Which is the almost like a square, and as soon as I do that, it gives me this view at the bottom, right? And you can see where those yellow arrows are. If I swipe, see what it's doing? It's going to start it there, and then I'm going to swipe to the right, and let's say I knew that I only wanted, let's say the first 5 seconds of this. Sorry, from 10 to 15 seconds, right? And I press, just go over here, and I press play. It will show me, it will play just the birds that I have, just that little bit of a section, right? So I've said, okay, I'm happy with what I want to submit. I press trim, and essentially what it is doing, it is actually at the top right, I can say save. And what it's done is that my new recording is only 5 seconds long, right? So this is pretty much what you do if you want to do, upload this into your eBird checklist. It's as simple as you press the 3 buttons again. And what I end up doing is I will save it to files. All right. And it asks me where do I want to go. And I'll say, let's say, for example, I want to save it to birds. All right. And I'll save it there. And when I go to my eBird checklist on my phone, and not through the app, through the website, there's an option to upload on, upload my media, and I can just select this whippoorwill for SMRA, and I can upload it, and it's uploaded from my phone. So that's pretty simple, pretty easy. And actually, that's how I typically will do it. I don't have anything fancy on my phone to do that. I know we've had a lot of discussions here about, what to use for recording, and and obviously you can go the whole hog, and you can put it on your desktop and editing tools and all of that kind of thing. But it can be as simple as just holding your phone up, doing a recording, trimming it out, and then just uploading it. It can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be big and complicated. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing now and give you back to Steve. Eventually, when this thing, I'll just click there. All right, and then Steve's going to show you a little bit more about recording apps. Okay.
Okay, so this one shouldn't take too long. So this is an app called RecForge. I believe it's for Android only. And it's one of the recording apps that Cornell actually recommends you use if you're interested in attaching sound clips to your eBird checklists. So I started using it a while ago. I like it. It doesn't do anything too fancy. But they do have a good tutorial, which I'm going to paste into the chat now. And once you have it installed, I'll just do a quick run through of the settings they recommend for optimizing your recordings. So we're going to click on the 3 bars in the upper left and go to settings. And the first thing you want to change is the audio record setting. And Cornell and eBird prefer that your sound files are in WAV format, which I've already got set. And I think out of the box, this comes set to like 44 kilohertz. They recommend 48. It gives you just a slightly better sampling rate of your recording. The other setting they recommend changing is disabling this AGC here. That's automatic gain control. If you keep that enabled, it lets the app try to decide which sound it should focus on. So if there's louder background noise, it's gonna adjust your recording level to that sound instead of the lower sounding bird that might be more in the background. And this prevent phone from sleeping, I like to turn this on because I frequently hitting record to start and stop. And if your screen keeps going to sleep, you have to unlock your phone. And it was particularly painful when you had to mask even outside, and face recognition wasn't working on my phone. So the phone won't go to sleep if you have this app open with it set like this. So on the main screen here, you get by default a list of your recordings. It's pretty simple. In the lower right corner, you have the record button. As soon as you hit it, you see the spectrograph, and it's recording. So you'll notice the blue bar on the right side is the audio level. And if it's not peaking very high because the bird is distant or low, you just want to try and grab the slider on the bottom to adjust it right or left if it's too loud. You don't want it too loud too, and then you'll get distortion. This allows you to play it back. There are some basic editing features. You know, you can change the file name. You can cut or crop selections. But what I typically do is once I have this file, I go up to the share options. I click share, and then I set it to save to my Google Drive account. Now I can name it whatever I want. And what I typically do is I go back home. I have a free program for Windows called Audacity. I open the WAV file in Audacity. I crop the sound, you know, so cut out a lot of the garbage before and after the bird. And it also allows me to amplify it. And then from there, I attach it to Ibird. I think that's about it for this app, unless anybody has any questions about it.
Can you say the app name again that you're using here?
Sure, it's RecForge 2. Let me see what it comes up as. So if you go to the Google Play Store, this is what it's called. RecForge 2 Audio Recorder by DJE 073.
Nice, thanks.
Sure.
Okay, should we, what do you want to have be next?
So I'm gonna just, so we're done on recordings now. So what I'm gonna do is just take everybody through just a couple of other apps, and then just, you know, just more some general birding ones, and mostly the paid for ones, the ones that you actually have to put some money out for. All right. So most of you will probably have a Sibley at home. If you don't, this is a pretty cool app. What's really nice is that you can actually set your location. You'll actually see that I've got my location set to New York, and I've said any time of the year. But you can be a little bit specific in the settings, and you can change it. You know, if I'm traveling and I'm in Texas, for example, I will, you know, change that to Texas, and it will show me by default all the birds from Texas that I could expect to find at, you know, in this case, any time of the year. All right. What's really nice and quick and easy is that you can search, you know, you can put the name of a bird in, you can, you know, you can scroll up and down, or you can put the banding code in, right? So what I want to show you today is just, okay, so let's look at the dickcissel, right? So I click on the dickcissel and it brings up this beautiful bird, and it shows me, you know, what the bird pretty much looks like. And these are mostly the images that you would find in the book. There's some information around the bird, how big it is, when you can expect to see it, a little bit about, you know, where to find it, what it looks like. And then of course the most, well, okay, this is not a fun one, but the banding code at the bottom, right? Which is really, really helpful if you're trying to get to birds pretty quickly. It will show you where they occur. You know, these are, again, you know, you'll recognize this from the book if you have it. It will give you a list of all the different recordings that there are available for you to actually listen to, you know, that are available. And then what's also pretty nice is that it gives you an option. Let me actually go back to the main bird over here. All the way on the right-hand side, it gives you the opportunity to compare it to something that is pretty similar, that may be found in a similar location, right? So let's go and have a look at a bobolink, right? So, you know, what's pretty great now is both of them are at Croton Point, so I might be a little bit confused. So what it does is it shows me at the top, it'll show me the bobolink, and I can just, you know, using my finger, I can scroll up and down. And then that's what the female looks like, because, you know, the males always tend to be a little bit easier to look, to tell apart. And that, well, she doesn't look too much different, right? But she looks pretty different to, the dick sisal at the bottom, female, looks pretty different to the breeding female of the bobolink that you're going to find up there right now. So this is pretty, so for me personally, I found this comparison, I've used that a lot. When you're out and about and you're not too sure, especially the females, we're coming up for fall warbler time where, all the warblers tend to pretty much look the same. And so one of the things that I actually use a lot is comparing different warblers and what they look like. And you can do this pretty much for any of the kind of common birds that you're looking at as well. Right? And then you've got an option, if you want to take a note, you can add it to your list. You can put a tag in it. There's a couple of ways that you can actually log this on your phone if that's what you want to do. All right. So that's Sibley. It costs a few bucks, but for me, it's just pretty much the staple of what I use when I'm out in the field. It's my default guide when I'm out there. Ibird Pro is another one. I'm absolutely, as an atlaser, I'm absolutely crazy about this. And what this essentially will do is show me all the species that there are, and I've deliberately left it like this. It unfortunately doesn't have a nice banding code option, but for example, I want to look up the dick sisal. Let's go to the dick sisal and see what it says about the dick sisal. So it's going to show me pretty much all of them have a really nice picture up front that gives you a bit of an idea, and for most of them it will give you just a high level overview of what the bird looks like, a bit of a description, and then some better drawings, right? Now, of course, the best thing about these kinds of apps is that they're using other people's data. So you can click on and it gives you the range. Frankly, I prefer this because, sometimes I can't ever remember what the colors are on the Sibley app. So that's pretty nice. And then look at this. It gives you, people have uploaded, and, you can actually ask them to use your photos and actually get a really, really nice idea of what these birds actually look like in the real setting. So, especially when you're learning, photographs are great because they give you much of a much better view. And in this case, there were 8 photographs loaded. There are sounds, and well, and look at that. There's actually something over here which says a sedran potentially has a similar sound. So it gives you what the phonetic text looks like, the vocalization, right? So this is pretty nice. I think sometimes when people are playing a lot of the bird sounds, you're playing from Sibley, and I sometimes do think the birds have had enough of Sibley. So it's always nice to give them something different. It also has a similar feature. So eastern meadowlark, wow, that can also be found there. House sparrow, I suppose if you're really, really starting off, you could be confused with a house sparrow. And then, of course, the western meadowlark, because this is all the birds that are available. So there's actually a little bit of advertising built into it, right? But if I press the arrow all the way on the right, how do I identify this bird? So this is Ibird Pro. It gives you some really interesting detail. This is so nice for me to have in the field. A close-up of the head and what the bird looks like in flight. See that flight pattern? It rapidly beats its wings. Fan-shaped tail. That's pretty cool. Ecology. Where is it on the map right now? Is it endangered, threatened? It's of least concern, which is always a good thing to have. A little bit of some facts about them. All right, they talk about, look, migratory flocks of dick sisals assemble into larger and larger flocks, gradually growing into thousands of birds. One day when we might see that. Winter roosts can number in the millions of birds. So now immediately I need to know where they winter. All right. The male does little other than feed himself and try to attract a mate. Good on him, right? And then notes that you can actually put your own notes in here. But my favorite screen out of all of them really is behavior. So as an atlaser, I'm interested in what birds are doing, and what I really, really like about this is it's really the only app that on the fly It gives me interest, it gives me information on the breeding and the nesting. Look at that, 3 to 5 pale blue eggs, and it's set on or near the ground, right? Usually in a field. And it's 12 to 13 days. So we know if we take 2 weeks from, when the action was seen, we can start saying, we can start looking out for some little baby dick thistles, which is quite nice. And again, it talks around, it talks about what does it eat. Sometimes that's interesting. All right. The younger birds over there consume more insects. The vocalization and always similar species, which is great. Where you would find them, how they breed, and are they migratory or not, right? So this really is one of my favorite apps to use when I'm out in the field. And then of course, just because it's not enough, there's Nest and Eggs, and there just isn't another app that gives you this amount of information, right? If you've got Flickr, you can use Flickr. You can look at the family, time of day. You can load your own. You can upload your own photos into here. I mean, frankly, I'm not really bothered with that. I'm interested in grabbing the information that's available, right? And again, behavior gives you some really, really good what you're expecting to see the bird to be doing. All right. So that's Ibird Pro. I think that's $15. All right. And then just a quick one on the Warbler Guard. I think that costs a little bit more. And what I want to show you on the Warbler Guard is how you can actually set up, the kind of view that you want of the bird. And I've said spring and summer. And I'm just going to page down here. Need my glasses. And I'm looking for I want to show you Magnolia Warbler, right? So one of the cool things is this is what a Magnolia Warbler looks like, just from the site. It's showing me a bright bird, if you can see right at the top in the heading. I have the option of changing this to fall, so I can get the birds that are coming up soon, right? Comparison species, it's showing me, these are the birds over here that, look pretty much similar. I could be confused with it. But the really cool feature with 3D is that if I play with a bird, and I can move the bird around, right? So they've done this rendition. So of course, that's mostly how you're going to see a bird. Like, let's find the most awkward possible angle, and then that's what you're going to see on the bird. And of course, the great thing about a mag is that, the tail, it looks like it's been dipped in black paint, right? So, if you haven't been able to, look at or attend any of the Warbler Guard sessions that Anne has had, you'll know that the underside of a warbler is pretty much unique, right? So what's also nice is it gives you a bit of an overview. It will show you, it shows you the size, the colors, and how the colors are divided up, where to find them, what the undertail looks like, where to find the bird. And I pretty much like that positioning, where it shows the tree and the shrub. So that tells you you're going to find it pretty low, and also how it feeds, which is again, this is great information. And sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. I know that in the beginning I found this quite overwhelming with a lot of information, but the more I'm getting to understand the birds and know the birds, this is a lot more interesting. And of course, because you have to, there's a whole lot of songs as well. All right. So, you can get to, hear the different calls, the chip notes, and these are all things that you can play right out of here. Okay, so that's pretty much what I was going to show you as far as the 3 paid apps go for birding. Just a quick one, because we're always out and about, right? There's two apps that you can use for non-birding. If you're out there and you want to identify a flower, a plant, you do unfortunately need a network connection for both of these. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, these don't work, but you can take your photo. The first one that I've started up here is called Plantnet Net, for those that don't understand my accent. And the other one that I will show you is iNaturalist, but they work pretty much the same thing, right? You'll see there's a camera button, button right at the bottom. I'll select that. And then on the left, I'll say, I want to identify something from my photos. It will open up my photos. And I know that I took this photograph at lunchtime today. And I'm not 100% sure what this is. So I know it's a picture of a flower, so I will select the flower picture, and whoop whoop. It tells me right away that it's a black-eyed Susan. And I can confirm that. And, you know, again, like with most of these, if you log in with an ID and a password, you're actually able to save your photos in here, and, you know, with the list of whatever they are. So I'll show you, you know, similar if I'm in iNaturalist, you just got to go through a long swipey thing. All right. I've not, you see these all say waiting to upload. I have not, let's say I've not uploaded my ID and password, you know, into this. But what I can do is, again, at the bottom, I can say observe. I can click on photo library. Let's find that photo again. And I say add. And you can do, what's nice about this is you can do multiple photos at the same time. It creates this observation for you. And creates this observation for you. The wheel of death, right? Okay, but it works pretty much the same way, trust me, okay? And what it will do is it will come up and it will ask you where you are. It will double check the date, you know, the time of the year, and it will give you, it will come up with a list of options, and you can select it. And what I've done over here, okay, this is just embarrassing now.
Yeah, we'll have to abandon that one.
Well, that was it. That was the last one, right? But they pretty much work the same. And I know there's probably a couple of others, and everybody has their preference. Usually I use iNaturalist. So, you know, but Plantnet I'll use sometimes if there's something, you know, that I'm not 100% sure of. I'm going to just kill that, because otherwise that's just, you know, it's always available on either. So that's sort of where that all comes from.
Let me just do a couple quick comments as sort of a formal end, and then please feel free to stay a moment and add any other comments. But thank you for being with us tonight. A reminder that we're on twice a month. And I want to thank Steve and Debbie, and we'll give you a chance to ask them some more questions in a moment. Our next chat will be about Croton Point, how to bird Croton Point through the year. Thanks to Alan and Dylan Wells. We'll be talking about Rockland County in second Tuesday in August, and then Westchester's Long Island shoreline with Tom Burke in the fourth Tuesday in August.